Good evening. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome in, Mr. Dodds, Akela, Alira, and of course, Mr. Christmas. How are you all? Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And Dodds, I'm sorry. I was lying. You 100% did make it just before Akela. Just. But you did. Congratulations. But for I hope you understand that for all intents and purposes, the record will always show that Akela did go first. He's always here first. It's only fair. I almost don't even want to stream tonight, guys. And that is just because of what? Oh, fuck's sake. Are you serious? Hello? Why is that not working? Hello? Can you not hear me? Why is it not working? What the fuck? Oh, wait, I think I know why. That doesn't make any sense. Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Am I working? Oh, thank fuck. Okay. Oh my god. I did a whole bit. Every time I do a bit, the fucking OBS cucks me. Thank you, Alira, for calling me out on that one. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome in, Mr. Dodds, Akela, Alira, and of course, Mr. Christmas. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm very sorry for that. I did want to say that, Mr. Dodds, I am sorry. I was absolutely lying. You did 100% make it first. But I hope you understand that for all intents and purposes, for all recording purposes, Akela will always be first. Oh, the OBS conspires against the bit. 100%. 100%. Oh, I said I was just about to get started and say, guys, if I'm being completely honest with you, I didn't even want to stream. I didn't even want to stream today. Instead, if there was anything that I wanted to do, it was to kick back and just bask in the fact that we are in the ultimate timeline. The 1 in 1 billion timeline. For those of you who don't know, there was a very, very special announcement in the fighting game scene today. And I want to go over it. I'm probably going to be spending more time talking about Marvel than I am going to be playing the fucking game tonight. But I want... Woohoo, Marvel Reds! I want you all to experience this with me. I wake up, and the first thing I do is, of course, I look up. Oh, God, wait, why is that transparent? Oh, wait, no, it's the sky. I need to move that forward. I really need to move that forward. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. Oh, that's not even, it's not supposed to be that big. Let me just quickly fix that. Oh, you know what? Screw it. Why am I making this hard on myself? Why am I making this hard on myself? Let's go over here. So I wake up, and of course, like everyone in my generation, every brain rot fucking kid, I open TikTok. And I check my following section, and I want to see like, oh, is there any news of today? I did see that there was a Nintendo Direct last night. So it'd be pretty interesting to see what got announced. Hopefully something to do with Silk Song, but let's be honest, probably not. So I figure, okay, have a look nonetheless. And I see this. Hey, welcome in, Eggy. Can we just talk about the fact that this man had no idea, genuine shock, unbelievable freaking out moment, and he is wearing a Marvel versus Capcom shirt. The timing is just too good. It's just too good. Oh, this is how I picture you reacting to the announcement, brother. No word of a lie. That is exactly what I was thinking as I saw that. I was like, Eggy must be so unbelievably happy. He's solely responsible for willing this into being. Now, it's funny you mentioned that, Dodds. It is funny you mentioned that because everyone who sees this who isn't aware, he subliminally knew 100%. They were getting into his brain. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is actually a brilliant story. This is an unbelievable story. But first of all, let's explain why this is so good. Why the idea of Marvel versus Capcom's return is such an incredible and important thing. Right after we just keep looking at how happy this man is, because this just gives me all the good chemicals I need. Look at him. Legit, for the rest of the fucking stream, he's just I don't care. Go back. He's just dumbfounded. He's gone. It's it. He's stunned. He's stunned for words. Now, okay, to give you all an understanding of what's going on here. This, of course, is Maximilian Dude. I've talked about him at length on this channel. So if you've ever been around, you'll know who this man is. Man is a god, despite the fact that I haven't subscribed to him on this account. Whoops. Sorry about that. Fix that up real quick. There we go. So Max is, in my opinion, the antithesis of the fighting game community on YouTube, a fighting game guy on YouTube, right? He's made an entire branding fake fan. No, please. He's made an entire branding on just pushing fighting games and pushing for people to know fighting games. And he has been doing it for over 10 years. I think he's been doing it for like nearly 15 at this stage. And he's done it with such charisma and knowledge that he's been able to create a massive community about it. I would actually even go so far as to say that it's because of Max and of course the Super Best Friends that I got back into fighting games and realized that fighting games are my favorite thing of all time. Sorry, my fighting game, my favorite video game category. Now, the reason why Marvel vs. Capcom is so big for him is because Marvel vs. Capcom is his favorite fighting game franchise. But let's just pretend that you don't even know what the fuck we're talking about here. Marvel vs. Capcom is, of course, a fighting game franchise that exists with that has existed for a very long time. It's considered one of the originals, actually. Marvel vs. Capcom fighting series, which starts a lot earlier than you think. You'd think Marvel vs. Capcom 1 is the beginning of it, but no, that's not the case. So, there you go. There's a bit of foreshadowing. Marvel vs. Capcom was a partnership agreement deal with Marvel Comics and Capcom to create their own fighting game series for Marvel licenses. I actually haven't heard of Marvel vs. Capcom until today. I don't know if you're taking the piss or not. I don't know if you're taking the piss or not, Chris. If I'm being completely honest with you. To me, it's like one of the most heard of things ever, but that is only because I obviously follow this guy. So of course I'm going to know about it. But I understand that there is a lot of people who don't know what about it. But anyway, point of where I'm getting at is that Marvel decided that they wanted to push into fighting games because it's, oh God, what time did Children of the Atom come out? Children of the Atom was in 1995. Arcade hardware in 1994. So it's 1994, literally the year I was fucking born. Marvel decides, hey, these video games, they're actually getting pretty good. They're getting pretty popular. And of course, we've got a lot of we've got a lot of these characters. And with video games not being more profitable than just toys and arcade poppers that they were back in the day, we could actually start making some money off of this. Keeping in mind that in 1995, Marvel isn't the massive powerhouse that it is today. In fact, I believe 1995 is right around where Marvel started going out of business. Like, they started hurting bad. Their movies were not doing anywhere near as successful. And I believe, God, I think they, at that time, they were making the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie, which, let's just say isn't exactly the greatest. Dolph. 1989. There you go. Not exactly the greatest, and not exactly cult followed either. You've also got the Nick Fury movie. Which is set to come out, pretty soon, actually. Oh, well, someone better go tell them now. Point of where I'm getting at with this is that a lot of their licenses aren't exactly doing so well in the movies department, and their comics are not selling anywhere near as much either. So they decide to go with the next best option, video games. And they notice that there's a lot of money that's being made. So they go and do research, right? Easily, the first thing I can think of is that they go, hey, where are video games? Where are the video games? Oh, they're at the arcade. So they go to the arcade and they start looking around and trying to figure out what is the most popular arcade game there. And they find a lot of kids surrounding this cabinet called Street Fighter 2. And they're like, this is weird. So why do you like this thing? Oh, it's because I get to beat the shit out of the other guy. Oh, that's pretty cool. You like Marvel superheroes? And like, yeah, I do. I kind of wish there was a game where I could beat the shit out of them. Get Capcom on the phone. We got an idea. We got a great idea. I think Marvel vs. Capcom is how I discovered Greyhawk was a thing for an arcade machine I saw once as a kid. Bro, I am envious of you. The idea that you saw a Marvel vs. Capcom arcade in the wild, that's fucking sick. I only know of Dolph because of It's Always Sunny. Wait, he's in Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Shit, I didn't even know. I didn't even fucking know. Anyway, point where I'm getting up with all this, right, is that Marvel go into a partnership deal with Capcom. And they say, hey, listen, we can lend you the license for our characters if you can make a fighting game, if you can make a game that's like Street Fighter. And they're like, oh yeah, you mean like a fighting game, right? And Marvel's like, whatever the fuck you call it, we don't care. Just make a game, make money, please. And Capcom go, okay, well, we want X-Men. All right, cool, go ahead. And boom. So it was, so it was said, so it was made. We have, of course, the X-Men Children of the Atom game. I believe, to be fair, there is holes in my memory here, but I do believe there was another game that was made in between this time frame. But regardless, Children of the Atom. Oh God, that is, yeah, thanks. What an amazing screenshot. How useful for me. Thank you. Children of the Atom, for all intents and purposes, still to this day, looks great. Actually, let's just get raw gameplay. We don't want to rip off Max's content too much, right? Not only does it look great, it sounds pretty fucking cool for the time as well. Keeping in mind, this is in 1994. An arcade, sure, but 1994. So, of course, what are they going to go off of? They're going to go off of the brand new Fox TV show. And they made a really fucking cool fighting game. The idea that you have your heroes that you've only ever seen in comic books operate in a video game that you've never seen look like this, with this level of animation, this level of quality. Well, it was an instant fucking success, wasn't it? I like how fluid their movement is. Exactly. The animations for this kind of level is absolutely insane. Meanwhile, in 1994, you got Sonic, and that was about it. Actually, when is Sonic? Sonic was 1999, wasn't he? When was the first game? They even had stages? Oh, bro. Yeah, no, okay, 1991. Cool. Nonetheless, that was the best, the literal pinnacle that you were getting at home. Most people had got that. But that is the best you're ever going to get on console right now. Look how pretty, look how many colors, look at all this shit. And the reason why I say this over something like Mario, obviously, is because the Sega Genesis was a higher quality, it doesn't matter. Point is that this is really, really pretty. But this, oh boy, I'm going to throw my quarters into that. Are you fucking serious? Anyway, this also led to Capcom getting a bit of a name for itself when it came to making fighting games specifically. Street Fighter was already a massive hit, but in order to keep but when it came to Street Fighter, they were constantly experimenting, but they mainly wanted to keep Street Fighter, right? They didn't want to deviate too wildly for what the series is. They wanted to keep it the same as what people know and love. They wanted to improve it where they could, but obviously at that time frame, everything was experimental. For Christ's sake, we didn't figure out that you should have 2 analog sticks yet, let alone that one of them should be able to move the camera. So then, of course, Children of the Atom is a massive success, and they go, hey, we want another one. Hey, we'll give you the whole fucking superhero team now. We'll give you the Avengers. We'll give you everybody. And then, so here comes Marvel Superheroes. Please give me the actual. Yes, thank you. But not just Marvel Superheroes of, okay, one guy versus the other. Oh, thank you, Mod. We're also going to introduce our own. as you can already tell, there's different systems and different things that are put into place. The super meter, I'm pretty sure, actually gets introduced in this version. But not only is it the super meter, it's considered the Infinity Stone meter. So they're including a lot more theatrical, like thematic things with the series. But they're introducing it through different gameplay mechanics where you get to do a big, massive combo and just do all this weird, wacky shit that you want, right? And like I mentioned, you're now also making Marvel stuff. So it's Marvel related instead of just being centered around the X-Men. You've got Blackheart from Ghost Rider. You got Captain America, who unfortunately is the most boring thing in this fucking game. Look at him. But look how gorgeous this is. There you go. There's your Grey Hulk. So of course, another massive success. They make a ton of money, and then Capcom goes to them, Marvel goes to them and says, hey, can we do a little bit more? Captain America? Bland? Never. I can't say that. I might get shot by an American from this far away. I believe in this game, there is actually a secret character. Just want to make sure. Probably wrong. Is it Anita? I think it is. I think it is Anita. Okay, first of all, Anita is the most broken fucking character of all time. I just want to show you guys this. Check this shit out. So you saw all this like wacky, goofy shit where if the thing will load, that would be great. Oh, come on, please. If I ask nicely. There we go. So this little girl character, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm very sure she is not a Marvel character. This bitch hits on block. Did you just fucking see that? Full health. She's blocking. 98 hit. I don't give a fuck if you're blocking. I'm hitting you nonetheless. Love for you. Absolutely disgusting. Anita is a character from the Darkstalker series by Capcom. There you go. Okay, cool. I knew there was one. Ah, yes, that wouldn't be OP or Suctaverse. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that Anita made it to all versions. I think she only made it to the arcade. And even then, I think it was only the Japanese arcade. I don't think it was the American arcade. But not the point. Point where I'm getting at is that Capcom were like, hey, look, listen, we kind of want to put our character in there. Is that cool? And before they got the answer, they already shipped it out. They already shipped out the code. They were fine. Marvel come back and say, you know what? We like that idea so much that we want to make another game with you, and we want it to be called X-Men versus Street Fighter. Because at this stage, Capcom are getting fucking huge. They're already the kings. Oh shit, yeah, 1996. 2 years later, Capcom have already released like what, 6 different fucking cabinets? Like 6 different fucking franchises? Let's have a look. Not game sales, game related, arcade. I don't want to go game sales because it's just going to give me this, and that's not what I want. Regardless, point is that they've got plenty of fucking series that they're selling out at this stage, right? This is before they've even attached. This is before they've even gone into the video game market, where you know, where 90% of their fucking money is made, right? This is before all of that. This is when they're just dealing with arcade stuff, and they start releasing arcade cabinet after arcade cabinet after arcade cabinet. And then Marvel and them decide, hey, we're going to make another game called X-Men versus Street Fighter. Now, a secret character in an arcade machine is an interesting concept. It's the most like money hungry that I could think of, but it was okay back then. It was the style at the time. Anyway, point is, we go straight into X-Men versus Street Fighter, which has a really iconic intro, I should add. This is the first time that Capcom characters and Marvel characters have ever actually interacted with each other. And aside from just being a case of the two of them interacting with oh, look, I'll get into it. Get into it in a sec. The first time that I believe at this stage, this is the biggest crossover event in video game history. Because of course, video games at this stage are marketed towards kids. They're not marketed towards adults, right? But you've got Street Fighter, a video game icon at this stage, right? Then the comic book icons of Marvel coming together and playing a video game. Your two, for a lot of Americans, your two favorite things coming together and operating nowadays, commonplace. You expect crossovers left, right, and center, right? Cool, nothing special. But back then, this was the only fucking crossover. This was the only crossover that, and if it wasn't, it was the only crossover that fucking mattered. Guys, a little girl at work has blessed me with a sticker. Best day ever. Oh, what a sweetheart. That is adorable. Images that go hard. You need to tell me what the sticker is. Please tell me it's this. Now, this image is so iconic. That even Capcom knows it and and made sure that everyone knew. We know. Don't worry. We get it. It's so good. This was 1997 to today. I'm terrible at math, but I believe that's 1997, and then 23 years. It's a funny little character. Oh, is it a little character? Oh, what is it? Look at this dude. Look at this funny little character. Wait, I thought guns and misogyny were America's two favorite things. I mean, you got me there. American children before they got corrupted by their own country. So we'll get into this. We'll get into this again further on. But point of where I'm getting at is that this was a very big moment. An absolutely monumental fucking moment. And we haven't even gotten into Marvel versus Capcom yet. There are 3 games before you get to Marvel versus Capcom. And boy, is this game fucking nuts. I want to apologize in advance. Anyone who is sensitive to lights, you might want to look away for a second. Like flashing lights, because, oh boy, does this fucker have flashing lights? overload your fucking brain with this shit. Where's Cyclops? Actually, Gambit's probably the worst one. Where's Gambit? Where you at, Gambit? Yeah, Cyclops. There we go. Optic blast. Just seizure central. Seriously. So yeah, easy to say. Capcom are on top. They're making tons of money, and Marvel's making a lot of money off of this as well. So they continue the partnership another year later to make Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Not just X-Men, but Marvel Superheroes. You can kind of see a trend. We'll give you the X-Men to start with, and then boom, we'll give you the full-blown characters. Now, here's the thing that you're noticing as well. This shit is super easy to make because this is the exact same animation as Blackheart was 2 years ago. Slightly altered, I will say. I believe there's a lot more animation that's been put into him, but this is pretty much the same. Like a few, maybe one or two tweaks. Here's what made Capcom that much more. And that, like, this, again, this is commonplace back in the day, right? People were just freaking out about the idea that we're getting more and more games. You didn't have to buy the game. You were putting your quarters into the game anyway, right? So then you put your quarters into the same game over and over again. You're like, this is boring. It's whatever. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. And then they bring out the Marvel versus Capcom 2, or in this case, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. They go, oh my God, there's more than just a couple characters now. Cool. I'm going to bring in more. I'm going to put all my money into this one. So a lot of like fighting game stuff of the time was the same thing that you played previously, but with more shit in it. And it was fine. Everyone loved it. The only people who didn't like it were the people who had to buy the fucking arcade machines. Because they constantly have to update this shit all the fucking time. Wheel out the old, bring in the new. And it was an absolutely loving and beautiful time. Till, of course, we got to Marvel. And then when they finally decided Marvel versus Capcom, we're going to bring in more characters than just Street Fighter. Because at this stage, like I mentioned, more than just Street Fighter. Because at this stage, like I mentioned, Capcom is bringing in their own shit. Capcom has been developing their own platforms and their own characters for so long. They're creating different fighting game franchises and not 13. They're creating their own franchises, having that'll work. And creating multiple different arcade cabinets with said franchises, such as I believe at this stage we have what is it fucking called? Darkstalkers. We have Power Stone. I think Power Stone's made at this stage. Captain fucking Commando, which was an arcade fight, side-scrolling beat 'em up, not a fighting game. Jin, I have absolutely no idea where Jin comes from, but he's a mainstay staple for a long time for a long time in the series. And and of course Mega Man. Now, as you can see as well, the roster is a lot smaller as it was last time, but that is because of a new system that they introduced, which is instead of it being a 1v1, it is now 2v2. But it's not just 2v2. There is the assist system. This means that it is technically a 3v3 game. So you have your two characters that you can switch between, but then there's a ton of these guys who, with one push of a button, will jump into the screen, do an effect, and then leave. And that's exactly what they're designed to do. This, again, like I said, is the first introduction, I believe, of the assist system. It is at least the first assist system in Capcom, from memory. And that's where a lot of these fucking characters went into, was into the actual assist menus. Now, Marvel vs. Capcom was such a huge success, even more so than the previous ones that we were talking about, that they actually ported it to consoles. But of course, at the time in 1998, there wasn't really a lot of consoles that could actually, perform as well as an arcade, except for the one that Sega developed, aka the Sega Dreamcast. Oh, it did release the PlayStation, but I believe the PlayStation 1 is not as good. Dreamcast, on the other hand, probably runs as smooth as butter because the Dreamcast was 10 times more powerful, but it was a lot more expensive and a lot harder to market, which is why it failed. So, years go by, approximately 2, and they release what is considered one of the greatest fighting games of all time, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, I keep explaining and saying like, oh, this is a great fighting game. This is an amazing fighting game. I can't really get into the technical explanations of why this game is so beloved, but there are plenty of reasons why this is so beloved mechanically. What I can explain, though, is just the simple fact that we have your favorite Marvel heroes versus your favorite Capcom characters in a single game. Now, if I was to take an estimate in explaining why this is so popular and why this is so great mechanically, it is because the Marvel system is the most forgiving. It is the most you can throw out and do whatever the fuck you want to do, and you will most likely get rewarded for it. As long as you're not hell, even if you're button mashing, you can do weird, goofy, cool shit. The whole point of this game is just to push buttons. You push buttons, you move forward, you get some combos. And of course, at this early stage, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a pretty fucking broken mess. Like, legit, this game has more infinites than I think I have hopes and dreams. To give you an example, one of the most famous clips of all time for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a guide on how to do a motherfucking infinite. Just in case that anyone doesn't know how to do a motherfucking infinite, we're going to watch how to do a motherfucking infinite. Oh, come on. Where is it? It's got to be here somewhere. There it is. Did you just bust out a Brooklyn accent? Well, there's a very specific reason. You're about to find out. That shit don't work. Ah! All I'm saying is that if people wanted to get into fighting games, and all these people who are making like fighting game tutorials, if we had more people who were as passionate as this man is to show you how to do a motherfucking infinite, we would probably get more people into fighting games. Now go diagonal. Now hit up. uh Honestly, one of the greatest Marvel 2 fighting game, not even Marvel 2, just one of the greatest fighting game movie videos of all time. I'm glad we could all share that. Motherfucking pow. But yeah, okay, so also, can I just mention that I appreciate you almost have a Google Doc of information to fill us in on this new development. Honestly, I was legitimately considering writing it up at work, but I just went, nah, I could probably just say all this shit off the top of my head. I think I'll just do that. Okay, so the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? This game, there are about 60 different videos that could explain to you why Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is so important to the fighting game community. More importantly, why it is so huge to the fighting game scene. The ones that I know off the top of my head is because for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, aside from, of course, just this everything that I've listed previously, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is where it brought back video of fighting games in a time where fighting games were not being made. The death of the arcade was coming very quickly. The rise of video game, like home consoles, was again on. Sorry, the era of the arcade was dying, and the rise of console video gaming was beginning to dawn. People weren't going to the arcades as much anymore, which unfortunately is the reason why Marvel vs. Capcom as a series ends here at Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for a very long while. And a lot of fighting games, while you had the clear obvious ones like something like Street Fighter, you had Tekken, you had Soul Calibur, King of Fighters. I'm trying to think of all these names, but the point is, you had all of these companies come through. You had all these video game developers making all these games, but there was a big focus around 2000 on 3D, which, don't get me wrong, this game actually achieves as well. This game is a mix between 2D and 3D. You have 2D animation, hand-drawn art and sprites with an actual 3D background. Granted, it looks like when it's in motion with all the motion blur going around, it looks like it's from fucking House of the Dead, but it still looks all right. You know, the drone parts are probably the best part, but hey, it looks all right. I mean, it doesn't look awful. Exactly. Big fan of someone who couldn't have cared less about it all 5 hours ago. Well, I appreciate you all sitting here and listening to this. So, the point of where I'm getting at is that Marvel vs. Capcom is at the time it was part of a dying breed, where not only was fighting games just kind of becoming archaic, for the lack of a better word. It was just they weren't being archaic. That's a terrible word for it. They were just people were just losing interest in fighting games as a whole. And however, there was still a very vocal group of people and a very I would still say a large community or a niche community of people. A saturated market, not necessarily a saturated market. It's more of an outdated business model. People weren't going to arcades anymore. People were going to play their games at home, you know? And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, while it launched in 2000 for the arcades, it took 3 years to actually receive ports for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. However, the Dreamcast version, 2 years, not 3 years. The Dreamcast version was released within the same year. Like I said, people sleep on the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast is easily one of the coolest fucking consoles of all time. It's just due to poor timing and poor placement that it died. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the Dreamcast. We're here to talk about Marvel. So, on the fun fact about this particular port, actually, the Dreamcast port is not a perfect port, but it is the best port, while the PlayStation 2 and Xbox versions of the games are actually the worst versions of the game, which makes it that much more annoying when I believe, no, they weren't the versions. No, never mind. But which makes it that much more annoying when you find out that the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox version are, of course, the most popular version of this game. Because of course they are. Xbox and PlayStation are 10 times more popular than the Dreamcast. So even though the Dreamcast version is the definitive version that was released at home, it's not the one everyone played. So the people at home that were trying to play this game or try to play and enjoy it are playing it on versions that, commendable for the work that was put into it, was not achieving the same level that it was in the arcade, let alone in the Dreamcast version, let alone the arcade version. And considering that this is, a massive American property versus a massive Japanese property, the Americans don't really have this. So they had to deal with this. Weirdly enough, I did label 2 Japanese things there, but you know my point. Also, this is of the era where there is no real online or anything like that. So you must ask then, what is keeping Marvel vs. Capcom 2 alive? If everything was against this game, how was it so successful? And how the fuck is it so beloved when there's so few versions of it? Simple. It was good. Even in its most poor version on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox version, it was Marvel heroes fighting Capcom greats. It was fighting game lovers. It was two of the biggest pop culture icons of the time fighting together. The power of a crossover like that is immeasurable. And as well, it was competitive. Everyone wanted to know who the fuck is during the beginning stages of Capcom. When it came to arcades, I do realize what I'm trying to do right now is explain to you the invention of fire when it came to fucking tournaments. But at the beginning of man, people realized there wasn't enough joysticks for a fighting game tournament. There was 7 people, but only 2 people could play the damn thing. So how do they decide who gets to do it? Well, we could beat the shit out of each other in person, but let's be realistic, that's not gonna work. So what do? We fight each other in the game, and therefore whoever wins proves to be the best, and thus competition was made. Ever since the beginning of fighting games where it's one person versus the other and that person gets labeled the better than the other, they have been creating tournaments for this fucking thing. And of course, tournaments were a very profitable thing for the arcades. Are you kidding me? Kids want to just walk away with bragging rights, no real prizes, while they willingly give you money for flashing lights? Sure, I'll fucking take it. And of course, everyone did it. I say everyone did it, in the Australian scenes at that time didn't really exist, but there were a lot of people nowadays. There are a lot of people now into that kind of scene, and in America, huge. The amount of stories you see of full-time Evo competitors, all these full-time Evo competitors talking about how they couldn't afford daycare, so instead they went to the arcade and they got to know the guy who owns the arcade and they let him stay. Or in the case of Daigo, where Daigo was like 10 years old or whatever, and he was kicking the shit out of everyone that fought him. So the owner had a rule where if you win, you play for free. So he just kept winning and getting better so he could play the game more often. Like, all of these, a lot of these professionals and a lot of the people who adore these games so much is because they have made friends and they have extremely fond memories of it. Fond memories that they took with them into the future of the series. So then when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is 6 years later, you go from kids to high school, college adults. So sure, we're going to run our own fucking tournaments for it. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2 becomes one of the highest played tournament fighting games of all time, including at the biggest fighting game tournament of all time, Evo. This game was out of date by the time that it was introduced into Evo. But because so many people were watching people play this fucking game, so many people wanted to compete in this fucking game, they kept it up there. And you want to know something funny? Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has never received a port of the arcade version, which means, legally speaking, it is impossible for you to currently play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in its original form without buying a fucking arcade machine. We'll get into it now. So 2000, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like I mentioned to you guys, that arcade games and fighting games as a whole slowly started to die. That was it. The only people that were really kicking around still was the off Tekken game, maybe a Mortal Kombat. I mean, at this stage, Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm Studios are praying. They're shopping around and they go, hey, listen, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're kind of just willing to work with anyone here. And Warner Brothers, about 10 to 15 years too late to the party, say, hey, Mortal Kombat, can we do what Marvel vs. Capcom did? And Mortal Kombat goes, hell yeah, we can. And they made Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe, which comparatively is nowhere near as technically advanced or good, in my opinion. I'm sorry to anyone who actually likes that game. Now, of course, around this 11-year gap, Street Fighter 4 gets released. Street Fighter 4 revives the video game franchise. Sorry, not the video game franchise. Revives the fighting game franchise. Not of just Street Fighter, but of fighting games as a whole. Thanks to Street Fighter 4, Tekken 6, and Mortal Kombat 9. Because of the effort that those three games... Oh, and to also a certain extent, Soul Calibur 4, because a lot of people bought that because Yoda and Darth Vader were in it, right? All of these games had their own thing that brought the public attention back, right? But Capcom, with Street Fighter 4 specifically, sold like wildfire. All the kids that you were making money off of back in the arcades, they're now adults with money. And boy fucking howdy did they buy that game. Street Fighter 4 becomes so profitable for Capcom that Capcom then greenlist greenlight, I think 4 to 5 fighting games within the same year. Granted, like we mentioned, in the arcades, that's a great idea. Here, not so much. I have to buy the full game. It's going to cost me $100. I'm not really going to be spending $100 for $500 a year for slightly tweaked fighting games, dude. Back in the day, it cost me like $1 or 25 cents if I was American. Surely enough, though, Capcom figure this out and they start to slowly release their games. And eventually we get to the happy compromise that is today's model of buy the game and then buy DLC as it comes out instead of having to buy a brand new game once every like 3 or 4 years. Anyway, among those greenlisted games was Marvel vs. Capcom 3, The Fate of Two Worlds, which for all intents and purposes is a fucking awesome game. Personally, I'm a fan, but I'm not as big of a fan. And the reason for that is purely just the art style. To say that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is ugly is not true, especially in a world where MVCI exists. Let me just show you there. Yeah. Like all fighting games at this stage, they moved to 3D. Pixel fighting games? Nah, that doesn't exist. That's POVO. That's low budget. Instead, we get cool fighting game, cool 3D graphics. Brother, oh, trust me, you haven't seen shit yet. For 2011, this is actually really cool. And for the most part, there's a lot of them that are really nice. I don't know what this fucking terrible CRT filter is, but we're turning this shit off. The colors look disgusting. Disgusting. There we go. This is better. Yeah, man. We also get the sickest hype intros. Let's check this out. Look at those chompers. It's straight up doo-doo. Whoever designed this trailer, by the way, the sickest shit. The absolutely sickest shit. Morgan fucking up Iron Man is the coolest shit ever. Get him, Morgan. Get him. Get shit on, Tony. Chris Redfield, because Marvel vs. Resident Evil 5 was the highest selling game in Capcom's history at that stage. So we get a lot of 5. My boy! Fucking Dante! Versus Deadpool. Is that the Dante? Not only is it the Dante, it's DMC3 Dante, the cool Dante. If I don't see Frank West, I swear to God, I'm pretty sure he's in 3. He's in 3, right? Those are games I need to play. They are 100% games you need to play. Actually, we need to play them on stream too, but I'm too scared. You want to talk about how hard those fucking games are? Ask Egg. Egg in his first ever stream. Sorry, not his first ever stream, but one of his first ever stream games was Devil May Cry 1, and he nearly broke the fucking controller. Oh, some DMC on stream? Oh, dude, I would try, but my bravery is not that high. This is such a sick trailer. It's incredible. It's fucking incredible. I do think Frank is in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Ultimate, of course, being not the first, but among Capcom's first forays into DLC. Yeah, that was the. Give me the Ultimate intro. There we go. I believe in you. He's covered you. He's covered you. I've covered wars, you know. I actually recently watched a long play of Dead Rising 1 while also playing a lot of Dead Rising 1. Oh, it's so fucking good, dude. I didn't realize that the PC version actually has widescreen capability. Not widescreen, ultra wide capability. That fucking blew my mind. For those of you who don't know, the PC version of Dead Rising is actually fucking phenomenal and fixes any issue that the Xbox 360 version had. So if you wanted to go back and play it, I highly recommend it. So this intro is super cool, but you may notice something. Where's the movement? Where's the animation? Oh, this is my favorite thing, by the way. Mike Hagar from fucking Final Fight versus the Hulk. Cool as shit. Dante fighting Ghost Rider. We talk about Marvel. That's what we are. Have you ever played Dead Rising 2 off the record? I actually have a funny story about Dead Rising 2 off the record. So I met Alira at an EB Games that was local to me. And there was a mutual friend of ours there by the name of Zach. And when Dead Rising 2 off the record was coming out, it was like release day. I went to Zach and I was like, hey, I'm here to pick up my copy of Dead Rising 2. And he goes, huh? What do you mean? I think I knew Zach. Yeah, probably. He's like, huh? What do you mean? No one pre-ordered that game. I went, no, I did. And he had to check the system because he's like, I'm pretty sure we didn't get any copies in. And I'm like, no, I hope you did because I fucking pre-ordered it. He checks the back. He starts looking around. He goes, dude, this is at the bottom of the fucking box, like the shipping box we got. I nearly threw this shit out. This is the only copy of the game that we have, and it's because you pre-ordered it. We're not stocking it. I was the only fucking dude that pre-ordered that game, and I nearly lost it. They nearly didn't send it because I was the only one who fucking pre-ordered it. They just weren't stocking it because they realized, oh, there isn't enough demand for this game. But the only reason why I pre-ordered it was because, one, I was super excited that Frank West was back in Dead Rising, and two, I wanted the cosplay pack, which was a pre-order exclusive. Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, don't pre-order stuff. That's bad. This is when I was an idiot kid. Don't pre-order stuff. Okay. So I think I found it in game and I was like, I've played Dead Rising 2. What the hell is this? Dead Rising 2 again with a new area. That's essentially all it is. But yeah, as you may notice, something seems a little off, and it's because there's no fucking motion. Like, don't get me wrong, this trailer, even without motion, is stunning. Look at the fucking detail that they're putting into this. But comparatively to what we saw before, it seems a bit cheap. There's a very good reason for that. Notice when this game came out, it was 2011. Ultimate, I believe, came out a year later. 2011, of course, being the time that Disney owns Marvel. Actually, did Disney own Marvel at this stage? I'm very sure they did. Very sure they did. When did Disney buy Marvel? 2009. Yeah, it was. I was like, I know that it was around the time that Iron Man 1 launched, but I wasn't sure if it was when Iron Man 1 launched or after. But yeah, 2011, and there's a very specific reason why I bring this up, because the roster for this game is interesting. I didn't think it happened till like Endgame. Bro! Oh no. No. It was a lot earlier. I think no, I was about to say, I have a poor grasp on time. Understandable. I mean, to be fair, it's not as bad as work today. I overheard two people talking while I was at lunch. And keep in mind, these are two extremely technical people, or at least they're hired to be extremely technical people. And one guy goes, think back 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the newest Microsoft operating system was Vista. I just sat there like, what the fuck? No, it fucking wasn't. No, it fucking wasn't. Fucking Windows 9 was out at that stage. What the fuck are you talking about? Pretty sure we were getting Windows 10 earlier that year. What the fuck are you talking about? I play Phoenix Wright, Beautiful Joe, and Shuma Gorath. What do you mean the game has a strange roster? Yeah, look, on the Capcom side of things, it's primo, because Capcom just got free reign to do whatever the fuck they wanted with the Capcom, because it's their own property. Let's go wild with it. Let's do some weird shit, right? But when it comes to the Marvel roster, well, oh yeah, there you go. There's Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom. Came out, yeah, the year later. Actually, no, the same year? Damn, that's not a good idea. I didn't realize it was the same year. Shit. Anyway, let's get to Marvel vs. Capcom 3's roster before we get into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3's roster. So the playable characters on the Capcom side of things, you get some wild shit. So you get Amaterasu from Okami. Oh yeah, Vanilla Marvel 3 was real bad. Yeah. You get fucking Amaterasu, aka Okami. You get Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts. Grab of the Ghoulies? No. Ghouls and Ghosts. Yes, Ghosts and Goblins. That's the one. One of the Ghouls and fucking something. Brand new characters. Crimson Viper. Please, for the love of God, bring back Sea Viper. I want Sea Viper in Street Fighter 6, please. I miss my girl. She's awesome. A brand new character from Street Fighter 5 making a great appearance here. Chris Redfield, of course, the main character of Resident Evil 5. So he's having his comeback, his first appearance as well. A ghoul, a little green ghoul. Chun-Li, like, if it's Capcom, it's got Ryu and it's got Chun-Li. Do I need to say more? Dante, since Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Dante has come in and wiped the Capcom best sales roster. Every single one of those games made fucking money at this stage. I think they only made 1, 2, 3. No, 4's out at this stage as well. DMC4 is DMC4's out at this stage as well, because I was in high school when DMC4 came out. Yeah, so DMC4 is also, they've made 4 games and boom, sold like gangbusters. Fantastic. Felicia is of course part of the Darksiders franchise alongside Heisen Co. with Morgana. Oh, Morrigan, not Morgana, Morrigan. Nathan Red Spencer. Oh, fucking Bionic Commando, of course. The Bionic Commando reboot. This is also during a weird time with Capcom where the CEO at the time, Keiji Inafune, said, hey, the Japanese gaming scene, it's shit. It's dying. There's ain't no fucking point being here. We are just gonna call it quits. We're not gonna bother anymore. Done. Instead, where all the money is, it's at America. So we're gonna start giving all of our Japanese licenses and Japanese Japanese games to American gaming studios, and they're gonna westernize the fuck out of it, and it's gonna be a great idea, and it fucking wasn't. But look, while it was a very, 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 very dark time for Devil May Cry fans and Bionic Commando fans and Dark Void fans, aka the two people that like Dark Void, for the most part, Mega Man fans, holy shit. You're still in the slums, dudes. Aside from all of that, it actually led to a pretty big, when he left and fucked up the company and nearly put him into bankruptcy, it led to a very big restructuring, which led to some great games actually getting pushed to save on those losses, aka the revival of the Resident Evil franchise into a completely remaking it into a completely different thing, giving more money to Monster Hunter so that Monster Hunter can become an actual console game rather than just being stuck on handhelds. It ultimately led to a really good thing, but that's, again, a whole other story. All you need to know is that during this time, Keiji Inafune believes that all the money is in the West and we don't really care about our Japanese characters. So instead, at the time, you had the Bionic Commando be the American Bionic Commando. You didn't have, thankfully at this stage, you didn't have American Dante, but you still get Dante, so that's cool. Tron Bot? No way. Oh, she is in that. I completely forget she's in that. Shit. Mike Hagar being a Final Fight character, the reason why is because they wanted to bring in Zangief, but there was issues with the idea of bringing in a Russian, last I heard. They had some problems with Russia. Marvel had some issues with a Russian character being introduced. That I might be making up in my head, but I remember hearing that was the reason, or there was some bullshit about that. Hey, welcome in, Hexa. How you doing, my dude? This roster is making me feel old. X-23 is still a new character in my mind, but according to this, she's at least 14 years old. Okay, another side tangent, but we love tangents, right? Did you guys know that X-23 is technically the Harley of X-Men? Now, the reason why I say that is because Harleen Quinzel, the character that pretty much everyone fucking knows nowadays, was introduced in the Batman animated series. They weren't introduced in comics. Their first ever appearance, they were created for the TV show, but DC loved them. They loved the character so much that they wanted to put them into comics. The exact same thing happened with X-23. X-23's first introduction was in a X-Men series called X-Men Evolution. It's where you get Goth Rogue, and oh boy, do we love that. Yeah, she was introduced into that, and then they thought, this is a really cool character idea. Let's bring him into the comics. And now she's in one of the best, the most respected X-Men movies of all time, and considered such a beloved character that she can take over the mantle of Wolverine. That's fucking cool. And X-23 as a whole, while there's some storylines that I really don't like anything to do with her and Draken, she is really fucking cool. She's really, really good, and she's written very well. Also written by Tom Taylor, who we've previously mentioned on this stream as well. But Colossus is Russian. Colossus is Russian. However, when you were to look at Zangief versus Colossus, it is very clear which one is Russian. Russia having weird restrictions? Never. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm good, Drake. How are you? I'm doing fucking amazing, my man. I am here talking some mad fucking shit about Marvel. It's good times, good times. But also, Colossus isn't in this. I should mention, yeah, Colossus isn't in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think he's in Is he an ultimate? He might be an ultimate. There was no controversy around Zengi for Marvel 3. It was slightly limited on Street Fighter characters, and they wanted to keep it to more story relevant characters. See, I've heard different things, Coach. While I appreciate your opinion on that, I don't think that's entirely true. I do know that there was something to do with Russians, because if you look at the time frames as well, it's right around where Putin starts making noise with the UN and being pissed off at the UN. And the reason why I bring this up as well is because Source Peter Combo Fiend, Rose's former Capcom employee. Yeah, I know who Combo Fiend is, and I appreciate your source. But again, I've heard differently, and I would like to express that I have heard differently. I don't want to take Combo Fiend's word and then say that's set in stone. But point of where I'm getting at with all of this is that something that was a massive contributor and something that was a massive limiter for Capcom was Disney, more specifically Marvel. There's a absolutely amazing video that I want all of you to please, I say this all the fucking time, go check out what happened. What happened? Marvel versus Capcom 3. Not Infinite, not Avengers, not Fighting Evolution, not Street Fighter 5. Fuck, where is it? Actually, it might be in the Infinite one. Yeah, it is in the Infinite one. Okay. Oh, give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just getting a call. Be back in just a moment. Sorry about that. All right, we're back. And boop, cool. They weren't the only ones. Marvel time. It's Marvel, baby. Which they did. We're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead. I want you to get into the bullshit explanations of where is it? There it is. There it is. I saw it. I saw the clip I need. Shit, I missed it. I've lost it. Where'd it go? Okay, cool. The company they're talking about, by the way, is Disney. So for context, what they're talking about is one of the producers for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 wanted to admitted that Disney wasn't exactly the easiest company to work with because did you all hear that? The game was getting stalled in development because Disney were like, nah, you fucked the hands up, bro. You need to fix the hands. You need to fix the hands up. The company proved to be so unbelievably pedantic about certain things that development for the game ended up getting pretty fucking rushed, which is why you'll often find that a lot of the characters in this game, I mean, bar like 3, a lot of the characters in this game seem to follow. Sorry, a lot of the loved characters in this game seem to be more of the Capcom side than the Marvel side. Hands are hard to draw. They are hard to draw. Can you put your hands over my hands and we can take a picture? We're lawyers. It was Disney calling him to tell him to stop talking about Russia. So Marvel had a lot of constraints and a lot of annoying requests when it came to developing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, mainly which also then leads us to Marvel's list of characters. You've got some really interesting ones like Doctor Doom, Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine. The reason why I say these are interesting characters is because Spider-Man technically isn't owned by Disney at that stage. When Disney acquired Marvel, they obviously acquired the licensing rights when it comes to video game stuff and everything, but they didn't acquire the movie rights. Very famously, I think I mentioned that, but very famously, when Marvel sold their characters, they sold their characters to different studios and they exclusively sold the film rights to certain studios. So characters like the Hulk and Spider-Man to this day are owned by different companies. Hulk isn't owned by Disney, or at least they're not fully owned by Disney. Universal Studios still own some rights to the Hulk, which is the reason why the Hulk hasn't been getting anywhere near as much development or time or sequels as every other character in the MCU. Like, don't get me wrong, it's Hulk. You get the picture with him, but did they really think, but did you ever question yourselves why they would be going for characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy, who nobody fucking heard of before 2013, over big name characters like the Hulk? Seems weird. That's the reason why. And of course, with Spider-Man, it's still very well known to this day that Sony still owned the rights to Spider-Man. And honestly, before Disney owned them, Marvel were more than happy for Sony to have them. In fact, they kept renewing the contracts because Spider-Man was the only good movie that was being released by Marvel at the time. So when this game was being made, they didn't own them, or even them. Oh, I'm fucking not her or him. Like, half of this fucking roster, dude, they didn't own. But at request of Capcom, because characters like Magneto and Doctor Doom and fucking Spider-Man, main stage staples, and Marvel were pretty happy to open up to, happy with the idea of releasing these characters because it didn't cost them anything. They were, however, more keen on the idea of pushing characters that they were making movies for, aka Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, who obviously Thor wasn't. Was Thor in Marvel vs. Capcom 2? I don't know. No, I think he was. Point is that they're like the mainstay, so of course they're like big time characters. You're going to include them. Why not, right? But they wanted characters like Doctor Strange and Dormammu because who's the big bad guy of the first Doctor Strange movie? Oh, would you look at that? It's Dormammu. And no doubt, again, this is where I start getting a little bit tinfoil hat. No doubt in my mind, they were also trying to think about setting up for a sequel with characters like Shuma Gorath And they were most likely looking to try and buy all of the X-Men and Spider-Man rights, and were most likely in talks with it because obviously we saw Spider-Man return in Civil War, which was 2016. So right around the time that they were making this, or right around the time that they were even planning Doctor Strange, they were probably planning to try and buy the characters' rights for Spider-Man and the X-Men and Fantastic Four. However, those companies obviously realized, hey, we've got Marvel characters and Marvel's top shit right now. They better give us like $1 billion or we're not giving them away. And that kind of led us into the issue that we're in now. But more importantly, when it comes to characters, like when it came to the video game franchise as a whole, when it came to the video game as a whole, it was a pretty unbalanced mess. A lot of the time that they would actually, despite what people think, Marvel's never been fucking balanced. Marvel has never been balanced. Balancing in video games weren't really what people cared about. People just picked this. If they did, Eddie Gordo wouldn't have been fucking made. If they did, the top team in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 wouldn't be the same combination of Magneto, Sentinel, and Psylocke. Those three are considered the greatest character. Oh, and there's also another team with Storm. But point is, MSP is considered one of the greatest teams of all time, and nearly every Capcom and nearly every Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tournament ends in one of those three. So it ends up in those three being in the top 8 for sure. So technically, Shuma Gorath was in Doctor Strange 2. Oh, like the thing. Didn't they confirm that the thing that got cut in half wasn't Shuma Gorath? Taskmaster could be a really interesting character gameplay wise, since he just fights with other people he's seen fight. Back in the day, I imagine that his fight style would have been I imagine back in the day his fight style would have been something like literally just copy paste other characters' moves into his moveset, but I don't actually quite know his actual mechanics. I keep saying that because despite how much love and how much interest and history I have with Marvel vs. Capcom, I've never got into it. Mainly because, and I'll get into the reasons why, but this is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Let's go over to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, as I mentioned to you guys before, and as the video pointed out, a lot of people, they started to notice that when it came to fighting games, or Capcom's releasing fighting games around this time, they kept pushing for more and more of, God, what am I saying? They kept pushing for more and more updates and more like later versions and DLCs and stuff like that. So then when they did actually come out with those, they created, sorry. So that led to a lot of people deciding, hey, I'll just buy the game later when it either 1 becomes pre-owned or 2, all the DLC comes out for it, which kind of bit them in the ass because customers were right. So Capcom stopped doing that, instead developing further into the DLC model. But let's go straight into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We introduced more of the movie characters like Hawkeye, I believe Ghost Rider Spirit Avengers was 2008, I'm pretty sure. But he was appearing in the TV series, so there's that. Super Skrull, we got more X-Men characters like Storm. Nova of course being another star character, but weirdly enough, as much as everyone was screaming for Nova, we never received it. Instead we got the Nova Corps mentioned and appearing in Guardians of the Galaxy, which, hey, there's Rocket Raccoon. But we never actually got Nova Prime, which is what this guy is. Iron Fist, of course, the TV show was coming out at that stage. Daredevil also appears in a stage in his Shadowlands outfit, which is sick. They couldn't use the name in a movie though, because it was used in Conan's story. Oh, okay, that would make sense then. Well, that was a shit reveal then, because the dude appears and then the character appears and then immediately dies. So yeah, you get some cool stuff. You get all the character, you get all the movie fan favorites. I don't know why Deadpool's there. I guess he was. To be fair, Deadpool was actually a huge comic book comic favorite at that stage. He was pretty much the only one that was pushing comics before the movies were coming around. Meanwhile, on the Capcom side of things, we get fucking Frank West, Strider Hiryu, Nemesis, and Phoenix Wright. Which is all. Oh, and Virgil. How the fuck could I forget Virgil? Which are awesome fucking characters. Was there anything right about Doctor Strange 2? I mean, it was visually cool. It's kind of all those movies are, right? They're visually cool. But yeah, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 comes out, and it's, I mean, it does pretty well. Don't get me wrong, reception was through the fucking roof. Everyone loved it. Everyone was talking about it. Tournaments were being made. To this day, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is being played by a very large community, as well as being modded to create, as well as being modded further for an even bigger cast of characters. They're just adding more characters on top of it and introducing balance changes and just improving the game by themselves. Again, huge, absolutely huge. But ultimately, I don't know if it made a lot of money. I don't think it made a lot of money. Especially compared, yeah. Staying its implementation fell short of the mark laid down by Super Street Fighter 4. However, he criticizes. Oh, sorry, that's just something different. Oh, I'm talking a lot. So, right around the time that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is coming out, you're getting even more Marvel vs. Capcom, where the ports of Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Super Street Fighter, you're not talking enough. Street Fighter versus X-Men, Marvel Superheroes, and Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 are all getting re-released to the Xbox 360 arcade and to the was the Xbox Series Arcade, Xbox 360 Arcade, and the PlayStation Store. This was in when? 2013, I think? No, 2012. Oh, when was it? When the fuck was it? Talk, streamer boy, talk. I'm trying, please. Can't even fucking find it. Where's it re-released? 2019? Nope. I guess was Children of the Atom not part of that release? Anyway, point is 2012. Very sure it's 2012. We need a whip cracking emote. Dance, funny man, dance. Yeah, so they released it. I'm gonna say 2012. Doesn't matter. Point is, very, very recently after Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they released it to the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and I believe PS Vita. Rant, streamer, rant. They released it to a lot of consoles, and then in, I think it was 2016. I'm just gonna check. Go to the Marvel vs. Capcom as a whole. 2012 was Marvel vs. Capcom Origins. Marvel vs. Capcom Origins is a crossover fighting game developed by Iron Galaxy Studios. I miss them. Iron Galaxy Studios is a fucking badass team of people who, excuse me, also re-released one of my favorite fighting games of all time. Where you at? Where you at? Oh, I got Darkstalkers Resurrection. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition in 2011. This shit is my favorite way to play Street Fighter 3. It is not the best way to play Street Fighter 3, but it is my favorite way to play Street Fighter 3. Because this thing came with the sickest fucking soundtrack of all. All right, sidetrack. We're not getting into it. Point is, they're really good, especially when it came to porting games. Hence their resume. So they're already in it big with Capcom. So Capcom said, hey, you reckon you can port over Marvel vs. Capcom? They said, bitch, say less. So they did. And they released a fucking amazing version. It wasn't perfect because, like I mentioned to you guys before, they had the Dreamcast version, which they altered to be widescreen. Game wasn't intended to be in widescreen, but for the most part, it worked pretty well. People didn't give a fuck. People were just happy about the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom was now available for less than $200 fucking dollars. And on top of that, it had online. Not a brand new, but a very new concept when it came to fighting games. You no longer had to have your friends sit next to you. No, you can body fuckers online at the comfort of your own home. That's awesome. Plus, on top of that, it also had the very early stages of rollback netcode, which to this day is still not an industry standard, but it should be. It is considered one of the better versions of netcode, and over 10 years later, not all fighting games are introducing it. Pathetic. Anyway, point is, these guys, cool. The game that they released, awesome. Slight issue happened though. All of a sudden, Capcom lose the licensing rights for their game. Oh, well, not for their game, for the characters in their game. So, while Marvel vs. Capcom was announced in July of July 5th, 2012, and then released that year, I'm assuming. There you go. September 25th and 26th of 2012. They were later pulled. Trying to find out when. There you go. So they were released in 2012. Following the exemption of their losing licensing contracts with Marvel Comics, Capcom announced in an employee blog released in December of 2014 that Marvel vs. Capcom Origins would be delisted from online stores. Annoyingly, it wasn't just this one that got delisted. It also meant that Street Fighter 3 Online Edition got delisted, which breaks my heart because the PS3 that I owned that game on died. The account that I bought that on lost the time. So I could never actually play that game again, which sucks. But also for a lot of people who, in my sort of similar circumstance, can't play Marvel 2 anymore. You were given Marvel 2 and you were able to play it, and it's gone. That's it. No, in a sexy cat woman kind of way, not a white man kind of way. What the fuck? What did I say? So, I keep saying ultimately. So, yeah, kind of shit. Because it didn't just mean that that they were getting rid of the just this. It also meant that they were getting rid of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which was a separate port that they released. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in their digital versions. Thing that sucks here. Oh, the whip cracking idea. Right. Sorry. Gotcha. Thing that sucks here with this is that these two games, well, this game has all the DLC of this game. However, the DLC skins, like all of the awesome alternate costumes, like Taskmaster having both his modern and old original design, or Jill just having multiple different fucking versions. Oh, X-23 having her what's it called outfit? Her X-Force outfit. All these awesome costumes gone. Lost. Too bad, so sad. Sorry, no chance of you getting them. Oh, and the online? Gone. Just done. That's it. Poof. Disappeared. Thankfully, Marvel would come back in 2016, where they released the port versions of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which revived the fan base a lot. So much so that they would release their biggest, their baddest, the strongest Marvel of them all. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Give me the intro. Now, I will say, one of the biggest complaints of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was that Mega Man was not in it. Mega Man being a main stage staple for all of the previous Marvel vs. Capcom games. So when he didn't get announced or didn't even get released as DLC, they knew what they were doing when they put him in the front of the trailer. Now, this game came out 2017 and now it's 2016. People were fucking hype. And of course, also, big reveal, fucking Captain Marvel's in it, dude. Remember when people still cared? Remember when people still liked Captain Marvel? I remember the good times. So yeah, that's sick. It looks cool, except this is what Marvel vs. Capcom is. I'm gonna give you the highest possible resolution, by the way. So you can see that this ugliness isn't because of the resolution. These guys look all right. They look all right. Frank, not so much. Hawkeye, well, Hawkeye's Hawkeye. Chris, can we just watch that Chris one more time? See if his words match up. Yeah, that's a no. That's a no. But nothing is as bad as Chun-Li. The hell is wrong with Chun-Li's face? This is totally gonna get me fucking copyright struck. Thanks for using a copyrighted movie for this meme. Keep in mind, this is 2017. Where you think games would look better than early Xbox 360. This is released for the PS4, the Xbox One. Christ, I'd take fucking Andromeda over that shit, dude. Oh no. Oh god. Yeah. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite didn't do too well. So much so that they pretty much cancelled their DLC runs. They finished up with the DLC characters that they announced that they were going to do, and then just flat out gave up. Said, sorry, game's end of life. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite died 2018. And that was it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. That's the end of it. Even with everything that I've just told you, the past 2 hours of explaining to you the legacy that Marvel vs. Capcom has had, we have 6 games that we've just covered. 5 of which made companies. Like, it turned Capcom into what they are. And Capcom, to this day, still have a very big love for the Marvel vs. Capcom series. There's constant mentions of it, left, right, and center. Of course, nothing that they can officially put into video games. They can't exactly just have, like, Iron Man rock up and not get completely shit on by Disney. And that's ultimately what ended up happening. It was a stale partnership because Marvel became the biggest selling thing in the world. And they did for a solid 10 years. To this day, it's still the highest selling thing of all time. So, not the highest selling thing of all time, but the highest selling thing of current. She looks like a character from Rainbow Six, from Tom Clancy's Rainbow 5. Where you can scan your face onto a character. Weirdly enough, I was just talking about that with a friend of mine in Rainbow Six Vegas. He was talking about how he used to play that and he scanned his face and it was fucking hilarious. Oh no, eyebrows, if you can call them that. I mean, to give them credit, I think they fixed it. I think they fixed it. They patched it. I don't know if they fixed it though. But yeah, fun fact about this game. A lot of this game is so rushed that a lot of the characters that are in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 are actually just ported over to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite with slight tweaks and a drastically worse art style. So much so that we have... Anyway, sorry. This is technically the end of Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite comes out, and it's the first real bummer note in Marvel's history. But on top of that, the only games that you technically can play outside of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We're not hating on Captain Marvel enough. She looks awful. Oh, she looks bad. She looks really bad. Don't get me wrong. But comparatively to Chunna's over here, oh boy, that's next level, brother. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the idea of her being Barbie, but I'd prefer her to have looking human than that. Now, there's something else that happened as well. You see, Marvel practically owns the exclusive, not exclusive. Marvel practically owns the team fighting scene. When anyone thinks of a team up, like multi-charactered fighting game, everyone thought Marvel, which really set it out from the rest of the scene. Tekken 1v1, Street Fighter 1v1, depending on which version. Sometimes it's 2v2. Same with Tekken, it can be 2v2, but for the most part, 3v3, get fucked. Nah, That's Marvel. That's only Marvel. There is nothing that could possibly come that would be more popular than Marvel heroes, right? Oh. Oh, shit. The same fucking year that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite comes out, a 3v3 Dragon Ball fighting game gets released. With all the original voice actors for both the English, Japanese, and I'm pretty sure the Spanish one as well, actually. This game comes out and absolutely destroys Marvel Infinite. And Marvel fans, they go straight to DB. I'm not a DB fan, but that looks awesome. Exactly. More often than not, as well, if you're a Marvel fan, you're a Dragon Ball fan. That's kind of how that shit happened. And I say, for the most part, obviously there's going to be some people who disagree, people who like other things. I remember selling this like hotcakes. Bro, this thing sold so well. In fact, let's find out. Marvel versus Capcom Infinite sales. 220 million units. Just off of video game charts. Again, obviously, this isn't a definitive number. It's, I mean, look, hell, Wikipedia's even saying less, right? But let's just go with 2.2 million, right? Now, Dragon Ball FighterZ. What you sold for? 10 fucking million. In 2023. Yep. That's a big number difference. And again, that's the Wikipedia. Wikipedia listed Marvel at being 1 million. So if we're going off Wikipedia's numbers alone, it sold 10 times as much. Absolutely insane. And again, we're talking about copies of the game. We're not even, don't even get us started when it comes to the fucking DLCs in this game. But yeah, ultimately, Dragon Ball took the crown. Dragon Ball took the crown, and deservedly, because that game is amazing. It was that every single time I went to somebody's house and they said, I have a 2-player game that we could play, it was that fucking game. I couldn't escape it. You know what's so wild is that I imagine that exact scenario was Marvel back in the early 2000s. Because it's the same shit, right? It's just, I think that this could work as a 2-player game because it's got a franchise that I like. I don't even care if you like Dragon Ball. You're going to play it with me because I like it and it's the only 2-player game I fucking have, right? So let's dial it back. Let's just do a quick rewind. Let's go all the way back to the reason why we even started this. Oh my God, we're going back a lot further than I thought. Jesus. Let's go back to this gentleman, Maximilian Dude. Max, it only really occurred to me when I was thinking about it today. Can you restart the app? I'm making dinner. All right. I just realized we're not playing Pokemon, by the way. Pokemon, I've ranted way too fucking long. This is a Minecraft. This is not Minecraft. This is a Marvel stream now. Man, going over to a friend's place who played fighting games and not playing fighting games yourself sucked. Oh, it did. It did. And more often than not, people were dicks about it too. Minecraft stream? Cheeky Minecraft stream? Sorry, Pokemon. This is a Marvel stream. I'm so used to saying Minecraft instead of Marvel. Anyway, Max, I never actually realized how much Max influenced me into fighting games. When I was just getting back into fighting, I remember seeing Street Fighter 4 and thinking, man, Street Fighter is such a classic series. I've always heard about it, but never actually played them before. I'm going to buy this. It was like I didn't have a job. It was the only $20 I had, but you know, I was a kid, didn't have to pay for rent or anything. So I spent it, I bought it, I played it, had no fucking idea what I was doing. Eventually, just playing it and getting back into it made me get back into Tekken, because I hadn't played that game since I was a kid, since I was a younger kid on the PS2. So I started playing Tekken, and I remember seeing that Tekken Tag 2 was coming out, and the only thing that was available on YouTube was IGN got exclusive streaming rights, and they were streaming like early stage streaming, right? This is back when Twitch was still called Justin TV. But they had exclusive streaming rights for Tekken Tag 2. And on that stream, the IGN had invited two pro players who weren't talking, and two people to actually talk and commentate over the game. And one of them was Maximilian Dood. And he had just such a really good presence and such a charismatic, like just a really good talker. He was a really good presenter. He was a really good caster, right? And it led to me going, oh, okay, cool. I'll go check out this dude's channel. And on this dude's channel was a series called Assist Me, which all the way down here. Assist Me. I don't care what anyone says. I still love this fucking show. He created a really cool concept, which was to create a tutorial show, like a show on teaching you how to play the game, play Marvel vs. Capcom, because Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had just launched at the time. He created a show that was just a skit show of him and his mates. Yep. God, look how young he was. As characters. Oh, by the way, his dog Benny. Rest in peace, Benny. It's so good. Oh, Simmons. Okay, this is this is primo old school YouTube. I mean, probably this kind of skit stuff, very reminiscent of the Angry Video Game Nerd. But point where I'm getting at with this is that it's all cheesy. It's super fucking dorky, and campy acting, terrible acting, campy acting, all centered around an actual combo video on how to play the character that appears at this appears in the episode. So he'd actually get cosplayers to come in, and his mates who did cosplay to do other characters. Like you got Wesker, you had all these other characters, and I thought this series was really funny. I actually thought this is really cool. So I stuck around, and from that point onward, I started discovering other video games. I started discovering Marvel vs. Capcom. I didn't realize that, oh, wow, this is actually a really cool game. And then he would go into other games like Street Fighter. He would talk about old school fighting games like the Street Fighter Alpha series, which I never even knew existed, and just kept going and going and just making all these amazing videos talking about old school content with titty clickbait, covering brand new fighting games that had just come out. And throughout this entire series, there would always be the talk of how it really sucks that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is essentially stuck. It's essentially jailed. Granted, he did something similar for Killer Instinct, and it came out pretty well. Like, he actually put out a series called Bring Back KI, which, while we didn't get a KI game, we did actually get KI balance patches, which we didn't receive before, and actual tournaments and Xbox acknowledging that, hey, yeah, we own the rights to KI, Killer Instinct, which is great. It's awesome. We got a lot of stuff for Killer Instinct. However, when he actually came to when it came to Marvel was a different story. Marvel is a game that this man fucking adores. And despite what this says, for the past 3 years, he created what is called the Marvel vs. Capcom, free Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So yeah, this is the thing that I was telling you guys about. Talking about how the only version of this thing exists, it got taken down. So now the only actual, yeah, that's right. I forgot about something. There was one release of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that happened in 2021. Yeah, 2021. Arcade 1-Up, a toy company that actually re-releases arcade cabinets in smaller form-facting arcade cabinets that you could just buy online, created a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade cabinet that also included MVC 1, Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, all of them in their arcade cabinet that had online capability. It costs $600 American. The reason why they're able to do this, by the way, is because it's considered a toy, not a video game. So it breaks any contract of licensing and shit. It's wild. $13 years, technically 15 now. No, 16 actually. So this is everything that we've covered recently, that we just covered. He created... Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is when they were talking to... He found out that there was a studio, Digital Eclipse, who very famously do ports and do a lot of like working ports and remasters and everything like that. And he started pushing this idea of remastering Marvel MVC2. Now, let's keep in mind, he goes into the history of Capcom and how Capcom have been able to do a bunch of stuff. And he brings up the importance of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, explains why Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is so beloved, all this kind of stuff. I don't want to rip off this guy. I don't want to rip off Max's content any more than I have to. Point of where I'm getting at is that he created a hashtag called FreeMVC2. This hashtag blew the fuck up. You had Michael B. Jordan reposting free Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You had celebrities joining in on this bandwagon. Companies were doing it. Memes were made out of it. This thing blew the fuck up. And we heard nothing. Max started releasing a bunch of videos that were called like him just playing Marvel stuff or talking stuff with the hashtag free Marvel versus Capcom 2. Eventually, he got a call, or he got someone got in contact with him and explained to him that what he's asking for is effectively impossible. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, just with how big of a company Disney is, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's done. We all have to kind of just move on. And then this happened. So with the past, 2 hours that I've just explained to you everything, explained why he is such a big influence and what not in just influence in fighting games, but why there is so much pushback for Marvel vs. Capcom to return, and how he put so much effort in for 3 fucking years straight. Even before that, like 10 fucking years of making Marvel content and talking about how it really sucks that Marvel vs. Capcom isn't available to people, and then finally pushing to use his influence and use his power, or not power, but you know what I mean, use his influence to actually see if he could do something and save the game that he wanted after such a fucking drastic game with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Sorry, with such a disaster game, I should say. Only to get told it's not happening. Then out of the fucking blue, in a fucking Nintendo Direct. Something that also should be mentioned, this is the first time that Marvel vs. Capcom is on a Nintendo console. Ever. It never made it to GameCube or any Nintendo console. His reaction makes a lot more sense now. Thank you. Thank you. This is probably my favorite part. Wait for it. I've been following this man for over 10 years. And this is the happiest, like, weirdest reaction I've ever seen. I don't have another 3 hours to explain to you why he's a Final Fantasy VII fan, as much of a Final Fantasy VII man as I did for explaining Marvel. He didn't pop off anywhere near as much as this when it came to Final Fantasy. So yeah, let's go back to this. He's just sitting there trying to figure it out. His brain fried. Yep. Oh yeah, that's the other part. It's not just on the Switch. Fucking sick, dude. He just kind of like went straight back into work mode. He was like, "Oh shit, that's right. I'm meant to be reacting to all these. I'm not giving them the time of day. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm just losing my shit." To keep in context with a lot of people as well, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 getting ported to the PS4 was definitely a testing the waters for a Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which came out a year later. So the idea of that, if this works out, we might get a Marvel vs. Capcom sequel, is very high and still being talked about. Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, legit, please do it. Please. The reason why I say this is because there's a lot of bean counters who use wish listings and stuff like that for their data sets. Even if you don't feel like you'll buy Marvel vs. Capcom, I ask that you please do that considering it's free. Look at him. He's just staring at it. And with all the context that I've given you, look at this art. The fact that Cyclops is like, dab me up, brother. Like, we're back. We're so fucking back. Oh, it's so good. It's so fucking good, dude. And he's so unbelievably awestruck. He's crying. He's got a very good point. A lot of people have been putting it on Max, saying like, "Hey, this is thanks to you." It it is thanks to everyone that has been involved in this thing that Capcom are even willing to give this a chance. So, out of everything that I am explaining to you, everything that I have done tonight in my rant, my goal is two things. One, that you look at Marvel vs. Capcom and go, huh, maybe I'll give it a go. And two, you buy this fucking game. This is a lot more than just a fighting game. I've been thinking about it all this time. I've been thinking about this all day. This right now means a lot more than just a bunch of old fighting games coming back together. This is an example of, I hate saying the word gamers. This is an example of people saying and telling a company, this is what we want. Please give us what we want. And the company going, okay, bet. Here it is. It is now our job to get what we want. They have given us what we want. Buy it. If you have even the slightest bit of interest in a Marvel vs. Capcom game, I cannot explain how this is your only real option. I didn't even get into Max's mod to fix Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, by the way. This man is solo funding a revival project for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and then this comes out. Marvel vs. Capcom, this is the big... Okay, sorry. Just to explain. When Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out, it was the heyday. It was its prime time, right? It was the prime release of the game, and it was the best time for it. Not anymore. The reason I say this is that these games, every single one of these games, are about to have the best experience, not a best experience, the best its prime time, its heyday right now. Everyone that's ever said the words, I would have liked to have gotten in that game back when it was still being played, back when it was popular, back when it was the best time to play it. No, now is going to be the best time to ever play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or whatever, any one of these fucking games, because these versions of the games, which Max actually confirms in this video, these versions, bar one, is the best versions of the games to ever exist. There are secret characters and even characters that weren't in the games originally being put back into the game. The Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the version that's in this is the official arcade ROM. This is the first ever commercial release of the arcade versions for these games. For most of them. Bar like one. One of them's patched. And even then, it's still a good version. But above all of that, it has online. So you can fight anyone. You can fight your friends. You can fight people you don't know. If there was ever a time to get into Marvel vs. Capcom, it is going to be this year when this launches. So please consider buying this. I don't even know what the fucking price tag for this game is yet. This could come out. Here, you know what? Let me check. Let me check and see if it's on Steam. We saw that it was on Steam with the wish list. I want to see if it's actually got a price tag. You've got me hyped, bro. I'm happy I have. I'm really fucking happy I have. Because I want people to get hyped. I want people to get into this. Knowing Capcom, it's going to be filthy. Yeah, most likely. Capcom have been pretty fucking shit when it comes to their DLC deals lately. Specifically with Street Fighter. Like, characters are being characters like what, 600, 700, not 600. Characters are like what, $17 to $20 now, which is absolutely fucking insane, and you don't even get the stage with them. But that's a story for another time. Point is, they could sell this. Here's the thing: they could sell this package for, it doesn't have the price on Steam, unfortunately. They could sell this package for $200. And it would still be cheaper than any other option you have. Case in fucking point. $117 for Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 1. American. Oh no, Australian. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. $300 used on PlayStation 2. Jesus fucking Christ. Marvel vs. Capcom PlayStation Edition. $210. You're getting the point, I think. Cash converters. Cash, you used to have a copy. Damn. I think you're getting the point, right? Trust me, I am aware of Street Fighter prices. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. Sorry to get you in on that shit. But yeah, case in point, whatever this thing fucking sells for, it's still going to be the cheaper way to play these games. Now, I should mention as well, you have options. This it's not like Marvel has just disappeared off the face of the earth and been impossible to play. There is, of course, the beauty that is Fightcade. However, technically speaking, to play Marvel vs. Capcom on Fightcade, you have to play Marvel vs. Capcom legally on Fightcade, you have to have owned a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade cabinet back in the day and rip the ROM from it, or a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Dreamcast version and ripped the ROM off of it. That's how you play that legally. But on top of that, with how I wouldn't exactly say Fightcade being a popular casual option, because the people who are playing this have been playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for a very long time. Or at least more than you and I. So I'm going to buy this day one. And we are going to stream it. We are going to stream us learning how to play Marvel vs. Capcom. And I am now finally going to have the option to learn MVC2. And I cannot fucking wait. There's also another thing that not a lot of people are talking about. Evo is usually, because Evo is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, Evo is usually where fighting game announcements happen, right? If you've got something big planned in the way of fighting games, you announce it at Evo and everyone loses their shit. Capcom already had a gigantic announcement in about a month ago. Not a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, with the fact that SNK, for the first ever time, actually just for the first ever time, that Street Fighter is getting characters in the mainline entry that are outside the Street Fighter universe, with Terry and Mai being introduced. Not only that, but they also announced the entirety of season 2 in a stream a month and a half before Evo, right? Usually you save that shit for Evo to hype people up and get people interested. The fact that they didn't is kind of wild. And then this gets announced at a Nintendo Direct, not at Evo. Capcom dropped 2 fucking bombs out of nowhere. Then what the fuck do they have planned for Evo? The boring answer is nothing, right? They go, come on, we gave you every fucking Marvel vs. Capcom game in a fucking collection piece, and we've also got DLC. We already showed you what the DLC characters for Street Fighter 6 is. We got nothing for you. That's the boring answer. I'm more interested in what this means. Do they have something else planned for Street Fighter, for Evo? Monster Hunter at Evo? What are they saying? There is something that actually gets mentioned in this video in particular, which I highly recommend you all go check out, but we don't have enough time to cover. They bring up a very good point. I think it's on the website, actually, because fun fact, they actually created a website for this. We actually clicked on it earlier, but boom, here it is. Does this have all the details for... I don't know if this has all the details for the actual game in it. Yeah, release date 2024. Nintendo Switch, PS4, PC via Steam. Oh, Iron Galaxies! Oh my god! No way! Are they back? No, that's got to be work from them before. That's got to be old work from them. It can't be them now. I thought Iron Galaxies was dead. Okay. Sorry, that's just a great shot to hold on. So they mention that there's a very specific way that they write on the website that the Marvel vs. Capcom, I don't know what you call it, but Marvel vs. Capcom collection, sorry. The Marvel vs. Capcom collection is being released, is the first of a series. So what the fuck other collections do you have, Capcom? Because you've already released the Darkstalkers collection, you released the Street Fighter collection, you released the Arcade collection, 2 of them, in fact. Does that mean you're gonna release a little game called Capcom versus SNK, considered one of the greatest fighting games of all time? Look at this shit. This shit's fucking wild, bro. Oh, that's Marvel. There we go. Characters are fucking rolling. They're doing weird ass shit. Doing SNK shit. You get my boy. Oh, look at all this 3D bullshit. Sam Show. You got Geese Howard. Rio. Different groove styles. So you have different art styles and everything. It would be fucking wild. Because there's 2. Is there 2 or is there 3? I don't think there's I don't think there's an SNK CVS 3. Is there? No. There's just the 2. But if they were to release Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2, oh boy. Cameron. You just got some wild animation, dude. Dude. Honestly, this is much more of a FGC favorite than it is a like a casual audience kind of thing. So saving this for Evo makes a lot of sense, and it would be pretty cool. But that's just wishful thinking. That's just wishful ideas on my side. But hey, while we're at it, how about we end on some fucking hilarious fighting game shit, shall we? Some of the greatest fucking pop-offs of history. Get your ass out of here. K-Brad is actually the coolest dude here. This guy's a scumbag. This guy's a dickhead. Oh, man. I miss this shit. Boy, do I miss this shit. He looks smelly. He looks a lot more than smelly, man. He looks angry. Oh god, this is legendary. So just for context, this gentleman here is losing. This man is winning. He's lost it. He's devastated. He's about to lose. Final game. Let's rip the shirt off. And unfortunately, he still lost. But hey, that wasn't the part of the story. He took his shirt off. That's the point of the story. Oh, this shit. Bam! Look at that shit. Look how far this controlling flies, dude. Bang. He's done. He's had it. He's sick of this shit. Also, by the way, what you're about to see is the rematch for what the previous pop-off that you just saw. Round fucking 2. And K-Brad just fucking wiped the floor with Wolf Chrome. Look at this shit. Everyone's losing it, dude. Good shit, dude. Fucking love Yipes and Tasty Steve. Oh, this is all right. I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I'm just gonna keep watching this shit. Oh, well, like I said to you all, apologies. There was no actual Pokemon being played. I just really wanted to talk about Marvel. I cannot fucking believe that we actually live in a time frame where that game is coming back. At least, like, I thought that if that game was ever going to come back, it was going to take upwards of another like 10 to 15 years. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Oh, fighting games. We're eating. We're eating today, dude. We got so good. We got into Nintendo Direct content. Nintendo equal Pokemon. Yeah, no, I figured that it would be 10 or so years into the future. A modern re-release for all consoles, and it's just because Marvel no longer own the right. Disney no longer own the rights. They sold them off, and some other companies trying to make money off the property, right? Like I thought that was how it was going to go, but not anymore. I no longer have to put $2 into the bootleg arcade machine at work to play Marvel 2. Fuck off. You have that. Are you serious? Is that actually a thing, or are you taking the piss? That is amazing. But yeah, no, Marvel will be played. We will finally learn how to play Marvel. It'll be good. It'll be good fun. But thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I hope you all have a fantastic night. I'm going to head off, have some food. Yep, it's one of those 100 games things and half the buttons don't work. Oh, even better. Even better. Oh, love it. Good night, everyone. Have a fantastic time. Oh, shit. Wait, hang on. Sorry. Very important. I done fucked up. I didn't realize that. So I knew that Elden Ring was going to be this week. I, however, forgot that I have prior engagements this week. So I have to go up to Sydney to see the family, unfortunately. So that means that Elden Ring will not be played on Friday or Saturday. I'm very sorry. However, I will be back on Monday night. Roughly around Monday night. So, Elden Ring will kick off for me on this stream on Monday night. I promise you that I will not play the game or play the DLC until I stream it. And every part of that DLC I play will be streamed. I'm sorry for the delay, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be sick. I look forward to seeing you all there. All right. That's it. That's it for me tonight.